Hello!
Oh my God, people showed up!
There are people in the tent.
Woohoo!
So, I guess we can start the next talk. GHP1989 to WHY2025. Please welcome our wonderful speakers and enjoy the history and future of Dutch hacker camps.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hi, how nice that you're all here. We are Nancy and Crystal, and we're part of the organization of the next Dutch hacker camp that will be there next year. And we want to talk to you about a short history lesson about the Dutch hacker camps. So let's start with me. I'm Crystal. I have like one defining trait characteristic that I like purple. I'm also a physicist. My main hackerspace is Hackalot. That one is in Eindhoven. You're all very welcome to visit. And my first hacker camp was GHP 2017. The first in the Netherlands, I must say. I've been to more. This is my second BornHack. So nice to see you all here. And I'm part of the projectleiding for WHY and part of IFCAT. And I'm not doing this alone.
Yep. Tusen tak voor die icoon. Yes. Well, I'm Nancy. I think we have to click again because otherwise the animation won't work. I live in Haarlem with Paul, who has also been a frequent visitor of Dutch hacker camps. It's not where we met, though. We met at another open source conference in London. My favorite game is Team Handball, which is very Danish as well. I'm a referee for it. I do this also for the Special Olympics, so I'm a referee for people with mental disabilities. I'm a big open source hippie because my brother raised me that way. That helps. He gave me a computer and there was open source on it, and he said, okay, you should learn how to program because that's a good skill to master. So that never left. I studied conservatory, so I'm a music teacher and business informatics, so I'm also an IT geek. And I studied ludodidactics. Ludo is the Latin word for playing. Didactics is the English word for didactics. So I'm a game-based learning expert, and nowadays I play games for a living. You can actually make a living out of that, so that's amazing. And the Special Olympics was already something that I mentioned. I'm a retired Scrum Master, not doing that anymore because I got sick and tired of all the things surrounding that. But it's maybe worth mentioning, and I'm a business owner, and my company is called Happy Game Changers, and you can forget all about that. Yes. We're a little bit curious on who you are and on a specific topic, meaning the Dutch hacker camp. So who of you, until this moment, had never heard of Dutch hacker camps? The newbies. Welcome. Good to see you. So glad you're here. At least some of you get new information here. That's a good thing. And who are the people who have been to Dutch hacker camps? Oh, wow. So cool to see you here as well. During the presentation, we will check the first hacker camps of everybody. So very curious to see who we have in the audience as well, because that's cool for us. Okay. This is also pretty interesting because this whole presentation is evolving. Thing is, the first Dutch hacker camp was in '89. I was 8 at the time, and you were?
I was the whole. I was 1 year old.
1. So
I was not on the field.
There's a lot of legacy that we don't know of, and each and every time that we give this presentation, Crystal did it at EMF this year. I did it in parallels in Eindhoven at an open source conference there. People come up to us with new stories, which is amazing. So this is an ever-evolving presentation because we get new insights. And this is the first time that we are presenting it together. So while being co-chairs of IFCAT. Yep.
If you miss something very important, just come up to us and we add it to the next version.
We might not know it. So, yeah. So when we became chairs of IFCOT, we got this lovely ordinance with all kinds of information and letters and things. It was a treasure trove, basically. We were going through all old faxes and police reports and interesting, interesting facts. So it felt like a sort of archaeological experience going through all this information. So it's truly a rabbit hole of information. And well, one of the things that we are slightly thinking about right now is after Why next year, we might want to do something with that and gather the information somewhere, and maybe, we don't know. But there's a lot to be rabbit holing about. So, yes.
So, what we want to take you through is some part of that. History lesson. Part of that rabbit hole, we made it in a very nice short presentation of in the Netherlands, we had somewhere in the 80s a very influential hacker zine. Zines were things we did then, you just subscribed, 8 guldens, it even was, guldens, because euros were not the thing yet. And they just sent out a paper zine. You can get all the new information that was there. They were cutting in there. Magazine was very, so we had the zine. Good things came out of it. Unfortunately, they got taken over by the big KPN, the big internet provider in the Netherlands. It's boo, but they did keep going on for a long time. And just a few years ago, they did shut down. But this really shaped the Dutch internet provider landscape. So a lot of good things came out of Hectic. And these are the people who are responsible for it. But for this story, the most important are Rob Gongrijp, Caroline Nevejan, and Patrice Riemens. Those 3 people went in 1988 to the CCC Congress. And the CCC Congress, you know, in December in Germany, you might have known about it. Who knows about it? Good. Yeah? It's very fun if you have nothing to do between Christmas and New Year's, don't want to see family. Go there, it's fun. But they went there, and it's going on a long time, so this was 30 years ago, 37 years ago even. And they drove there, and the moment they were on the way back, they think, we should have something like this in the Netherlands. We should make this conference. So those 3 people came together, and they made a conference of it. And of course, what you're going to do is that you're going to put on your information in your zine. So this is the invitation for the first big hacker event in the Netherlands. It was not yet a camp. It was in an old, in a building. And the building is a converted church. Apparently, the Dutch hackers have something with converted churches nowadays. And in this pop podium, they made a conference. The conference had a party area for the hackers. They had a conference, and people were invited there. This one was the Galactic Hacker Party. Are there by any chance people here who went to the Galactic Hacker Party?
Do we have?
No. Too bad. I would love to hear stories from there, because, you know, as I said, I was 1. I have nothing of a calculation for that. But they called it the Galactic Hacker Party. And at the same time with the Hacker Party, there was the international conference on alternative use of technology in Amsterdam, in Paradiso, as I said. It was 3 days. It was in Amsterdam, and it had both a party area and a conference. The visitors from this event were already international, so they came from Germany, from the CCC, they came from the Netherlands who are subscribed with Hectic. The USA readers of the magazine, I think it was a magazine of 2600 were there. Yep. And in the meantime, there were live connections, call-in connections, to Moscow, to San Francisco, and to Amsterdam. So this was a very international conference, especially for the time. It was very cutting-edge technology. And it was so cutting-edge that there was also a sponsor who wanted to do just one thing, promote this new thing called email. The times have changed a bit. We all know what email is nowadays. But it was cool. It was Antenna who promoted that. And then it was 4 years later.
4 years
4 years later. And it became time for the next one.
Sequel. Hacking at the end of the universe. Somehow it became a cycle of 4 years. This was the first 4 year after. And this might be one of the first things that really went viral. They send out messages in all kinds of Hectic, in the Hectic magazine, and they were like, bring your friends and tell your friends to bring friends that will bring friends. And by that, I think we can call it a truly viral promotion style. I think there's another thing over. Is it you? So who are you? Of course you want to come. And this resulted in, I think, how many visitors? I think that's on the next sheet.
That's on the next one.
Almost 1,000 people showed up, which is amazeballs. It was at Lelystad at an ANWB camping. We will get back to that later. ANWB is a non-governmental organization who makes sure that people in the Netherlands can camp and ride bikes, and well, they do a lot more, but they have some camping terrains, and this was the first one at a campsite actually, and it was already fully voluntary run, just like this event, just like all the other events after. And this was also the first time that we had to, I think, but correct me if I'm wrong, the predecessor of Club Bate, Jolt Cola was imported especially for this event. Who went to Hacking at the End of the Universe?
Oh, we have one!
Yay! We have one! Woo! Is there an amazing story to share? You heard it on the 8 o'clock news in the Netherlands that this was happening. Oh, thanks. So you went by train back and forth to watch this weird thing going on, but it actually made the news in the Netherlands that this was going on. So it was truly viral. Great, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, that's so cool. Is it on the next slide? Does it have the computer thing?
Yeah, the drink.
I already told about the drink.
Okay, I forgot.
And they actually built a Stonehenge computer there, which I thought was and it actually, you know some more background about this, right?
Yes, the computer was working. The stones are a keyboard. They're connected. And somebody brought it. And she went around and she had a bucket and she collected the stones and she made it working there. And as it should be, moments after it was working, some other people joined in and it was internet connected. It could call.
So very cool stuff. 4 years later.
4 years later, they wanted to return. And they called the ANWB and they asked if, can we return? We want to do for the next event. They called it at that moment mostly harmless, to stay in the team of the Hitchhiker's Guide. The ANWB said, yeah, well, your news coverage was not entirely in line with how we want to present the terrain. So, unfortunately, you cannot have the next event here. So that was a new tradition. We go to a new terrain. And they did that. They changed the name somewhere, because 4 years working on something new, you decide on a better name. They called it Hacking in Progress. It took place in 1979. It was in Almere. It was again 3 days. And there's not a complete agreement about how many people there were, but more than the last event.
Who went there? Oh,
more!
Me! Yes!
Well, one of the things was, there was network. Of course there was network, this was one of the main selling points. But there was also some concerns about how the internet was used. So in the information booklet it was gotten that told that if the internet was used in ways that are not entirely fine, the police could cut the internet cables. And it was very prominently shown in the booklet, so it was a real risk. In later years, they also printed on the network cable that there was a hardware firewall, which was just a scissor. But when you have internet, you need to align things. Nowadays, we have very nice standards that internet is mostly working for most people. I didn't spend 3 days to get my internet working here, hypothetically. But they had a different solution for that camp. You can have DHCP via PAC. It was the first thing that was used here. It was new, it was introduced, and they made a standard of it. It's currently the RFC 22 standard. And it was first introduced at HIP.
Maybe. Yay! Oh, I see a question there. Can you walk over there so everybody can hear it? Perfect.
I sadly wasn't there, but there is one, I think, important thing to mention about HIP. It was also where the PGP was turned from a published book to avoid the censorship of the US, where it was OCR'd and corrected to use it outside of the US. This happened also at HIP 97.
Very cool. Thank you. That's great information. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really cool, really cool.
Yes.
4 years later. Hacking at large. Ooh. Oh, you were there. I was there. You were there. You were like, it was me, yeah. Who else? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
You know, we get a steadily rising amount of people who were there.
Sorry?
We have a steadily rising amount of people who are there.
Yeah, it's working actually. Of course, 2021 should be called HAL. This is also maybe a nice moment to explain how this works with our backronyms. We come up with 3 letters first and then decide what the name is. So that was the same with this one. They came up with HAL first and then it became Hackers at Large. So it's always a backronym. It's not, for marketing people, it's horror because every 4 years we have a new name. We're not going to change that because it's fun. Because we can.
There was actually a vote on it.
There was a vote on it?
There was a vote if we should change this.
Yeah.
I think I steal the branding.
Yes. Well, it was 4 days in Enschede at the university there, the technical university. There was a lot of back and forth between the police and the university because the police weren't too happy about it. I had some extensive conversations about it with Auke, who is sitting over there. If you want to know more about Auke or about HAL, talk to him. Not all at once because he's a bit shy, so don't jump on him. But he was there and he has incredible stories about terminal servers that were stored underneath a building and then brought to camp and then sold for 25 euros and I don't know. Just talk to that guy. He has amazing stories of this event. And they also had a big monolith there, of course. And I don't know if Tony is in the audience as well or he's just sitting back there drinking something, I don't know. But he still has parts of this monolith. So maybe we can have a revival of the monolith at Y from HAL. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So this is also a very cool fact is that the talks from Hackers at Large are at the CCC website, at the media sites. So you can still view the talks of that camp, which is like 23 years ago. So I think that's amazeballs. We haven't, maybe we should have, I think Edwin already proposed that we might want to have a viewing of some sort at Y of cool talks from previous camps. I think that's an amazing idea. That idea is up for adoption. So if anyone wants to make that happen at Y, please feel free to do so. 4 years later.
4 years later, there was What the Heck. What the Heck was in 2005. It was in Liemt. And there were 2,500 visitors there. And this was the year that there was some interaction with the police. And when the police comes there and started to listen to your...
Oh. Someone is saying no.
I wanted to say that
Misinformation.
I wanted to say earlier, the first interaction, the negative interaction with the police was 2001. There's actually a t-shirt to prove it. The head of police the head of police wanted to stop Hal 2001 and called them staatsgevaarlijke anarchisten, which is very difficult to translate, but it means something like anarchists that are a danger to the state, which is kind of inherent to be an anarchist. But they wanted to be very explicit. But What the Heck was the biggest, the event with the biggest police fan, and that has a whole story around it as well.
And they had pink bracelets, right?
Yes, they got special bracelets, which were initially meant for a different team, but because they were forced to have police on site, they said, sure, we give you free access, here's these bracelets.
Yeah.
So they were very well identifiable. This was also nice.
So everyone with so I heard that story as well, because one of my friends went to that camp.
But one of the more famous pictures of What the Heck is the one where they are listening back to the listening van of the police.
And who was there? At What the Heck? Almost. Oh, see? Someone especially coming inside the tent to raise his hand. That's cool, right? Very cool.
Well, there are a lot of firsts on the Dutch hacker camps. One of them was the Datenklo. It was not the first appearance everywhere. It was used the year before in the German camps, the CCCamp. But this was the first appearance of the Datenklo in the Netherlands. And the Datenklo is we take a portable toilet, we remove the toilet part, and we put all the network stuff in. And then you have a waterproof network enclosure.
Works like a charm, each and every time.
It's amazing, and here you see it in its natural habitat, between the trees. And you see the roots. It's very comfy here.
4 years later. Oh, yes, you can add things. Go for it.
But we might sometimes
let me check with my co-presenter.
Yeah, sorry, just one more thing for What the Heck. It was the first event where after the wiki was invented. And this changed the dynamic of organizing since Hal 2005 massively. Things started getting fixed and organized and researched without the organization knowing what was happening or that the problem even existed. It was amazing to see.
I think we really want to have a chat with you afterwards, if that's okay. I would love to brain pick you. Thanks.
The same. But let's go to 4 years later.
It was my first. Yay!
Who else was there?
Who else was there? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, it's slightly increasing still. Hacking at random. Yeah. So this was my first encounter with hacker camps in the Netherlands, and I was just blown away by what I was experiencing as a first-timer. It was 4 days in Vierhouten. I went there by bicycle and motorbike, and I did beer brewing workshops and all kinds of cool, crazy stuff, and I really had an amazing time. So this is the first one that I can actually talk from personal experience. There were 2,300 visitors, and they had some simple plastic coins. Yeah, so you can get hard coins, like the hacks over here. And of course, it didn't take long before somebody made their own.
It was the moment 3D printers started to become common, and we didn't know yet this was a risk.
I think that was an interesting part of HAR, absolutely. And to me, it's still one of my personal favorite logos as well. I have a T-shirt with all the logos, which is also quite fun. But HAR was also an amazing event. What else? Oh, it was also the Dutch authority on... do you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, something to add.
Yeah, go for it.
My name is Henrik Kramse, and it was my first camp too. But it was also the first camp of Tykling, the organizer, because we were driving in my car from Copenhagen, 4 friends, with lots of devices and stuff. We were like stuffed in a car like this, and we were doing lockpicking on the way, and the first hacker camp, and just blown away. So that's probably where BornHack, the idea was born.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's so cool.
Well, there was another group of foreign hackers that were there. These were a set of hackers from America. They went to the CCCamp before and they transferred some new idea called the hackerspace. And they had very much fun there. So they decided to go back on the plane to the Dutch hacker camp and they decided there to do a talk, hackerspaces everywhere. And this was the flame that ignited the Dutch fire that is hacker camps. They had a talk about how to start a hackerspace, what to do there, what to encounter, how to do that, just collect a group of friends together, get started and just make a place where you can hack, where you can come together. That worked. Nowadays we have a lot of hackerspaces in the Netherlands. My favorite, the first 3 were RefSpace, Random Data in Utrecht and Hack42 in Arnhem, and RefSpace is in Den Haag. These were the first 3 and they were started within a year of the event. And it's amazing, it's a really good place for people to come together. The concept was there before in the vrije internetwerkplaatsen and some other squatter-based like infrastructure. It's a bit less loose and not really, there's no book that I could consult on it. So we're all, yes, I'm going to talk to you and I'd love to write about it. I know you know more. I'm talking to the rest of the room for now. But they started, there was already Seabase and there was, I believe there was already and New York City Resistor and a lot of things. But these were the first 3 in the Netherlands. Random Data, Random Data is still alive nowadays. Hack42 is flourishing with their own building, and RefSpace is one of the amazing hackerspaces where I come. But it's not my favorite hackerspace. That one is Hackalot. That one is in Eindhoven. It's also in a church. We're doing very circular things at the moment. And if you're ever in the Netherlands, you are more than welcome at any hackerspace. And if you're in Eindhoven, I'll do my very best to give you a tour. But let's go further. We have 4 years later. Ohm.
That's not your first yet.
That's not my first yet.
For anyone who went to Ohm. Oh, look at that. It's increasing. Yeah, more people there. Observe, hack, and make. It depends on who you ask whether this was a very cool camp or not. Let's be honest. I've heard some not so beautiful stories about that event. I was a visitor there, and from my perspective, it was great. One of my friends from the Drupal community, his wife was a concert pianist, so we made sure that she got to this camp to give a Bach concert live, and that was truly, truly amazing. It was in Geest-Marambach, which is actually the same place where it's going to happen next year. So that's cool. It's a slightly different terrain, but it's the same area. And there were 3,000 visitors there. And it was the first edition where IFCAT was founded. And IFCAT is the International Festivals of Creative Application Technology Foundation. And yes, I should have started with Stichting, I know, for the people in the audience who know. But basically, we are the legal entity to make sure that the camps happen. So we're there for, how do you say it?
We're the legal entity to ensure the event will be there and that there are sensible decisions on a legal
there's also
level.
something in between. And of course, we also made the choice because we had some spare money last time to sponsor some tickets for BornHack so that people who are not that fortunate are able to get here. So we're very happy to play a bit of Santa Claus as well from time to time for other camps.
Because in the end, we are a community and we should be there for each other.
Right? So, thank you. And maybe you've noticed they're here as well. The lights first showed up. So that's very cool. They're from BitLayer. That's the hackerspace from Amersfoort. I think if you are in the Netherlands, and first you go to Hackalot and then you go to BitLayer because they're very cool as well. And these travel all around hacker camps all over Europe now, and I think that's very amazing that they're still there and still in use.
Yes, can we have, yeah.
Maybe somebody can correct me, but these can do some animations, and I've been part of the NOC team, and 8dot has been setting them up at BornHack for many years, and we're very grateful for him. But also it had these animations, and one of them is kind of like a police light, and I heard the stories. Maybe you can tell it better than me.
It's changed color every time someone who was working for the police.
So they had like we have the camp area, so whenever anybody from the police entered the area, they would make them shine in like the lights of a police car, and then when they left, they would turn them off again. So everybody would know across the whole camp if police was on site.
Thank you for the addition. Yeah, I've heard about that as well. Very cool. Next slide, I guess.
So, we're 4 years later again. We're reaching the year 2017, and it's the year I was on a birthday and I was listening to people organizing a cool thing, and I was thinking, I want to be part of that. I can answer some questions. Let me do some info desk. So I decided to go to Still Hacking anyways. It was in Zeewolde. It was 5 days. We're increased, and I already see a lot of hands. But who was there? More than half of the people here. I'm so grateful for you showing up. Was a very cool camp. It was called Still Hacking Anyways, and it was the first event that had a badge. At least the first Dutch event. And badges are very cool. They just sometimes need a sweatshop. I was part of the sweatshop. It's a picture of me from a few years ago. And it was a lot of hard work. But it was really cool. It had a very high adoption rate. A lot of people on the field worked on it. Yeah, what else can I say? It was a very cool badge. I saw a question, but it disappeared again. Nope.
So, Ohm Camp was the one that got away from me because I saw a very bad explanation in the hackerspace of Ghent what a camp was. Afterwards, I saw all the pictures and I missed it, and I vouched not to miss a single one of the camps. I think I catched up. I quit my job to go to SHA 2017 because I didn't want to miss it.
Oh, wow!
My boss wouldn't give me time off, so I handed in my notice.
I think what's also a nice thing to mention is I know photographs are not that much appreciated here, but I see this picture has been taken of Crystal by Dennis van Zuilenkom, and he's a Linux engineer and also a very professional amateur photographer. And he has this very cool project called Shoot All the Hackers. You should really look him up because he makes amazing shots of all the people on Dutch hacker events as well. So if you ever, I think he has this note always, it's beware whenever I take your picture, it might show up on your LinkedIn profile.
We tried to credit all the pictures in this presentation, by the way. The next one I forgot to credit. I don't know who it is. I apologize sincerely, and I will correct it for the next versions. But apart from that, we know we had a very interesting relation with the authorities. And one of the goals of the original conference was to make sure that we're not scary, that we're not criminalized. And they did a lot of work for that, but it took time. So from the first one from the 89 till this version, 2017, a lot of change. So much has changed that one of the authorities, the fire department, decided that they trust us enough to put their brand new truck in place, open it up, and see what problems they could be found. There were some vulnerabilities there found. You can only see them when you're in the truck. So,
to be clear, it was the communications truck that they set up when, in the case of crisis or a big
But
problem.
it was a walk-up setup. Everybody could walk to the setup and just work on this fire truck.
And my tent was actually somewhere over here. So this might have been a Jeopardy question. Yeah.
That being said, oh.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Yes!
Sorry. It was also the first camp. I think it's really cool to mention it had a harbor, which was the first for any hacker camp, I think. It was also, I think, the first camp that got this close to being shut down by the police or the security.
Yep. Thanks for that addition. Yeah, the harbor. Yes, actually, the guy in the picture was the one who was the harbor master. So Brenno de Winter, and he was there, yeah, making sure that happened as well. Cool.
Yeah, about things that happened. 4 years later, somebody who is good with dates, who know already what's happening there. It did not happen 4 years later. There was this thing we don't mention nowadays, but it was delayed a year. This was yours, by the way. I'm stealing your sheet.
That's okay.
Okay. And that one was called May Contain Hackers. We were both there, and to see who else was there.
It was actually my first time being a speaker at the Dutch Hacker Camp, so that was also very cool. About gamification, of course, because that's what I do.
And it was my first time being on the board. I promoted from just wanting to answer some questions in the info desk to, yeah, let's do some board things. And I apparently do it well because I'm still there.
You're still not burned out?
Nah.
Sorry, too early.
Too early. There are 3,250 visitors there. And I see you have a question. An add-on. Sorry.
So yeah, at some of these camps I like to be a volunteer because then I learn something that we can use on BornHack, like biking in cars, which is quite nice. You have a bike in front of the car so it doesn't
go too fast.
But also I was a volunteer on MCH and went into this volunteer food tent because all of the volunteers, if they work some hours, they get a ticket for food.
Yeah.
And there was a whole group doing this. I think it was vegetarian or at least vegan, maybe one of that.
Both.
But they also had this wall with all their recipes. So the volunteer food would have something like rice 50 kilos for one day. And all the other recipes would be crazy amounts of food.
Of food, yeah, it's really cool. It's Mecklenburg from Mecklenburg, probably.
From Germany?
Yeah. Very good food.
Well, this one is very close, so we don't know what will be the thing that will stand the time of time. But a lot of cool things were happening there. It was very hot. We had a day that it nearly hit 40 degrees. So we had one of the electric carts were converted to deliver water. We had a van that was... Well, we used this to tell people that they have to take off their car off the terrain, otherwise, or a heavy lifter would be stronger than the car.
That happens.
We also had very amazing decorations on the site. We have these crystals you can see here at the site. I really love them. We had a really cool gate. I just wanted to show some cool pictures that I have around me. I believe these are all mine pictures.
It might be nice to mention that one of the people is Moon, who's also creating all the boards at this field. So all the cool decoration stuff is created with her and her team decoration. And I think she's a big attribution to BornHack as well, with all the butt naked hacker boards and all the things that you see hanging around. So yeah, if you want to thank her, she's there. She's right there. So.
So, what's next?
What's next? Next is in 4 years, so that will be why. Because curiosity is something that we all have in common. I think you cannot be a hacker and maker or a weird creative person without having the constant urge to figure out how things work and how you can make it work and how you can break it, of course, in a good way. From the 86 names that came in, or the acronyms.
82.
Oh, 82, sorry, I stand corrected. From the 82 names that were sent in, we thought that Y was really cool for a hacker-themed camp. So, and we came
and thank you, Polyfloyd, for the name.
Sorry?
Thank you, Polyfloyd, for the name.
Polyfloyd. Thank you, Polyfloyd.
Also, about 5 minutes we published this, we registered a website, we made all the social media. Some British-speaking person came forward and said, you don't yearn, you yearn for something.
Meh. We're not natives, sorry, but we fixed it. And hopefully, we aim at around 3,000 to 3,500 people there. We would love to see any of you guys again, or maybe for the first time. You're more than welcome also to help out.
Yes, is this talk give you FOMO? You're more than welcome to join, either as an organization, or as a volunteer, as a visitor. We love to have you there. It's just as amazing as BornHack, just a different skill, different people, more people, but cool.
Yeah, it's a different camp, but just as much fun from my perspective. Absolutely. What's the next slide? I don't know.
Well, let's have a first look at how it will look.
Oh!
The huisstijl and the logo will be presented very, very soon. I saw some previews like yesterday, but it's not ready for finish. So here's the mood board of how the logo will look like. And this will be the look and feel of the tents of the field. It's a bit retro wave. It's a bit neon-y, it's retro, how do you call it? It's UV, it's going to be very vaporwavy, it's going to be UV, it's going to be amazing. I really look forward to it. And it will be in Geestmer
This is very BornHacky, but let me get a tick out of your hair. Okay, sorry.
Thank you for taking that off. It will happen in Geestmer Ambacht. And Geestmer Ambacht is a nature area in Alkmaar in the buurt. It's in the west of. Did I say that correct? It's in the west of the Netherlands. It's a big area. We have multiple fields there, and this is a festival that is the days before us. So 2 weeks before us, there's Liquidity. And this is an aerial view of them. So this is, if I show you the pictures, it's just going to be a boring flat field. That's why I show a different festival. And it can be very cool. I've been there a few days ago, and it looks nice. We're going to have a cool festival there. It's going to have its challenges. It's going to have its advantages, and we're going to see what it will be. And I hope in 10 years, in 10th edition, somebody else can give a very awesome story about this event. And one of the things about that, no event is born without any labor. Everybody needs to do a part to have events like this. Events need volunteers. This is for BornHack. This is for everything in BornHack. So if you can do anything, if you can stay a day longer for Teardown, they will be very grateful for you, because we're all people, we're all working. And one of the most fun things you can do is organize an event like this. Maybe not every team has its fun. If you do any volunteer shift, it's going to be amazing. If you be there, if you join now, you're going to have a whole year extra of event organizing and more fun and events and meetups and meet a lot of people. It's one of the amazing ways to meet people. And right now we have 42 teams. We're good at compartmentalizing. Those teams are all in different directions. They are very cool. Some of them you need no experiences. Some of them experience is very much welcome. If you want to do something you do daily or something completely different, there's all space for that. If you want to talk about somebody where you could fit, well, here's Nancy's and mine email address.
Yeah.
So
Just email Nancy.
So it's one of the ways to. Nancy has a running gag that you should email
Sorry,
Nancy, but
there's
mine
an
is there too.
Angry Nerds podcast, and every time, they shout out, just email Nancy. So, yeah.
Yeah,
For those of you who listen to that podcast, that's me.
Most of the teams did start already. Some of them will start somewhere in January. And we're all working to make a very cool event.
Can I add something that I think is very interesting and cool as well?
Sure.
It is also, we really work hard to make it a family-friendly event. So there is a team called Family Zone. So it's very, very convenient to bring your whole family as well, and there will be all kinds of things going on as well. If you want to go to mainly family events, go to Fright Camp in Belgium, which is also very cool. But we really, if you can turn into a family holiday if you want to. So
there will be an area for that. It will be safe. We won't have any open water where children can disappear in. We make sure that will be handled.
Yep.
But there's also a lot of stuff that is interesting for adult hackers.
Which are just big kids anyways.
With our big kids anyways. Just a quick thing on how the organization is run. We adapted some of the CCC infrastructure for our orga structure. So the main thing that runs the event on the field will be the angels. And angels are people who are on the field and decided, I want to do something fun. And you come there, they give you something to do, you will meet people, you will get a meal, and at the end of the day, you made this event happen. If you want to do something a bit more structural, you can join a team. And a team is just preparations, making sure everything is there to have an overview.
And you don't have to be based in the Netherlands to join a team, by the way.
Absolutely
because
not.
Because a lot of the meetings are remote, and there's a lot of things that you can do upfront from wherever you are in Europe or the world. So please don't hesitate if you think, oh, I'm not based in the Netherlands. You're more than welcome to join any of the teams.
Well, and every team should have somebody who makes sure everything is happening, to keep the to-do list. We call it the team lead. Yeah, that's what the team lead does, make sure things happening. And up front of that, we have projectleiding.
If you want to know more about volunteering, talk to our team lead volunteers, who's actually in the audience. Ah! Yay! He hates me so much right now.
So on top of that, we have projectleiding. 6 people who are seeing that everything will happen, do the hard stuff that is in between teams that is not happening from itself. And on top of that, we have the board of IFCAT. IFCAT's the legal entity. There are 4 people there. We are there. And we just make sure the event happens. And if you want to stay up to date, we have a mailing list. Yes, mailing lists are old, but we started this event to promote email. Why should we stop now? We also have a lot of socials, but the one that is the most open is Mastodon. So here's the Mastodon link. And if you want to see the sheets, if you want to subscribe to anything or everything, we have the QR code with all the links. This is the moment to shine. It's going to be on the next slide, but just grab a picture.
Also, our email addresses will be there if you have any further questions or anything. So,
and it just links to the wiki, which we learned is amazing for organizing. So, yeah. So, I hope to see you all in Geestermer Ambacht. We have our next in-person orga meeting in September.
Yep. In Eindhoven de gekste. Hey.
In another church, you know, so we can come full circle. And if you're doubting if you're welcome, you are. Everybody who's interested, everybody who goes to events like this, if you're just curious, if you like something with computers, if you like something creative, something technology, whatever, you are welcome. Because you were at the first event and you are now. And we had some things with virus, but so we don't want to go viral in the virus way, but in the digital sense, let's go viral. Tell your friends and be there. That's it.
That was it. Thank you so much.
So, thank you very much for the talk. We still have last stories.
No, I have a question. Sorry. Ooh. Why does it end on a Tuesday?
Sorry?
Why does it end on a Tuesday?
Because of the availability of the terrain.
Yes. I was reading the Hectic magazine and I see a report of the 93 event, Hacking at the End of the Universe.
Yeah.
And it,
Can you keep the mic a little bit closer, Mark?
And it lists actually that it was visited by a Copenhagen city bus with 17 Danish people.
Oh!
They were all unemployed and convinced the employment office that they, for some contact, and they got it paid.
So we had a Danish invasion.
Yeah, they hacked the Dutch, the Danish government.
Very cool.
I don't know about next year, but I have observed that those camps have become more and more expensive, way beyond inflation. Do you have any idea how that's happening and how one could remedy it?
This is a general trend. All festivals get more expensive than inflation. This is an ongoing trend, and shutting down the entire festival industry for 2-3 years are not going to help. A lot of places shut down during that period. This means camps after COVID will be more expensive because everything is more expensive. Apart from that, festivals are getting more expensive all the way. It is not going into the project. We generally keep that amount of expense the same. We try to attract sponsors. We get a lot of sponsors, but it's not enough to exchange it. We try to use sponsor money for all the extras, but the ticket price really covers the camping experience.
Yeah.
And we cannot go cheaper than that. We cannot go to an even simpler field because you need the infra. If you want to make it cheaper, we should start cutting essential stuff. And you don't want to do that. You still want to have the internet, you want to have the toilets. Those are the things that take money. I cannot make it better than that. We try to save money on some things, but there are limits.
If the price really is a problem for you, something is always possible. So please do reach out to us that we can make sure that everybody who wants to come is able to come. We will figure that out. And talk to team sponsors if you know any sponsors, because that helps as well to lower the price. Yeah.
Last.
Yeah, I see a bit of a conflict in what you're saying, because you're saying you use the sponsors for the extras, so it doesn't lose the price, but if we find sponsors, it does lower the price. I mean, also, like, if you use it for the extras, you don't need to cut down on essentials, but on extras, you use the sponsor money to lower the price.
This is a discussion that is ongoing. It's not new. And I'm not sure this is the right place to have it. I understand your reasoning, but camps need everything, and we try to keep the price as low as possible, but there are limits.
So we are...
And the general trend of festivals getting more expensive because equipment is more expensive, tents is more equipment, toilets and showers, food, all is getting more expensive. We cannot lower those prices.
So, unfortunately, we have reached the end of our time.
That's okay.
Thank you very much for the talk again, and see you around, and enjoy the rest of the day.